Hi, everybody. I just wanted to record the parent prompting workshop that we did the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just walk through it, just like I did with those of you who were able to join us. I believe it was Tuesday. So let me share my screen. All right. I am going to go over to my drive. I'm going to go to the folder that I had shared with all of you. All right, so here is the folder that I shared with you, and the PowerPoint for prompting is right on about here. All right, so this is the prompting PowerPoint that we went over the other day. So this is a slide that says what we should be doing. I'm going to present it without pressing the present button because then it will stop recording and sharing my screen. So what we should be doing, we should be using the prompting hierarchy. This is something that we learned at San Jose State. It goes from the most restrictive prompt to the least restrictive. Just emphasize that here. What we should be doing is we should be starting at the top and going to the bottom. So this PowerPoint just goes over what each of these steps is and what it looks like when you're prompting your child to do any activities at home. So the first one is natural cues. So natural cues include anything like bells, timers, the cleanup song. Natural cues are anything that would happen in like a typical environment, a typical classroom, at home, where the child would hear something and then be know that they're expected to do something. So, for example, a natural cue when someone rings the doorbell, you go and answer the door. So in the classroom, we play the cleanup song. The kids know it's time to clean up. When you ring a bell, might be dinner time. So natural cues are the least restrictive prompts to let somebody know that they're supposed to be doing something. So the timers are a really great tool to use at home when you're doing activities with the kids. Gestural prompts are pointing without words, tracing lines with your fingers, using sign language, might be tapping a chair. So, gestural prompts are usually used in conjunction with natural cues. That's our goal. We want to use the current step that we're on and then everything before it paired together to prompt the child to do something. So, it might be, ringing a bell and then pointing over to the kitchen. It means it's snack time. Or it might be, their kids are cleaning up with the cleanup song, and then you sign more to show them that they have to clean up more. So it's just without being verbal, giving them verbal directions. That's how you would use the gestural prompts. Or tapping a chair if you want a kid to come sit over here instead of saying like, oh, so and so, come sit, come sit. If you just kind of tap the chair, they know that they're expected to go and sit there. For verbal prompts, it's very important that verbal prompts be used in a quiet and mellow tone. It should be paired with gestures. It should be stated once and wait 10 seconds and state it again if needed. So, a lot of our students with um, speech and language impairment, with cognitive delays, with autism. They all have a longer processing time. And this was actually taught to me at a professor at San Jose State that if you repeat the direction over and over again, then you're actually restarting their processing time. So if a child takes 10 seconds to understand the direction and process it, if you only wait 3 seconds and then you say, clean up, clean up instead of them processing and starting to do it, their whole processing time starts over. And that's why a lot of the time it seems like they're not paying attention to us, they're not following the direction, is we're not giving them enough time to understand what we're asking. So 10 seconds when you count in your head, it feels like a very long time. So just be patient, and it really helps if you get everybody in your house on board to kind of call you out per se. I told my parents, I start to get impatient sometimes, and so please say, oh, Miss Taylor, you need to wait. So, it should be framed in a positive tone. So this was also something I was taught at San Jose State. If you say, like, for example, no running, the only word that our kids hear is when they're doing something they shouldn't really be doing is like running. So no running, they hear running, which means run, right? If you say no climbing, they hear climbing, and then that's what they're going to do. So instead of saying no something, you would say it's time to use walking feet. if they're running. And what they hear is walking feet, or it's time to listen. So they hear what they're supposed to be doing, which is listen, versus don't scream, don't yell. So we want to frame it in a positive tone. Again, do not repeat the direction over and over. This is a hard one. We might want to just be like, sit, sit, sit. But in reality, we're starting their processing time over and it's not fair to them. And then we should use simple and concise language, making sure that the kids understand exactly what we're saying. So I try to use the same directions, like it's time to sit, very simple language. Examples of good verbal prompts, it's time to sit. Counting down from 5 is a good verbal prompt, so giving them that warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pairing more or all done with the sign. Using first then, so just saying to them, first gluing, then snack time, or first table time, then playtime. So just a very simple sentence. First, then, with just the actions they should be doing. So there's no extra added fluff that they have to figure out. It's time for listening and look. Those are all good verbal prompts. The next one is visual prompts. So we use these a lot in the classroom. If you would like any of these for home, let me know and I can make them for you. First ones is icons. So my icons that I use, I don't know where they are right now, but I have like sit icons, stop. So showing those kids the icons really is helpful for them, for our students. And I have access to symbol sticks, which allows me to make all of those icons. They have like every symbol you can ever think of. So if you need anything, let me know. I'll have my parents prep those for you. The first then boards are great because you can put the first activity you expect them to do, then this one. So it might be first table time, then we're going to do Play-Doh. And so this gives them a visual representation of, okay, I need to do this first, and then I get to do that. And then the other one is a token board. So usually at the bottom of my token boards, I put the expectations for them. So I might put a visual of someone sitting, someone like an ear, an eye. And then when I give them a star for doing something nicely, I'll be like, oh, you did a great job sitting. And then I'll point to the sitting and then I'll give them a star. Once they earn 5 stars, they get whatever they're working for, which might be magnet tiles, Play-Doh, goldfish, Skittles. It's just what works for the child. You can also create visual schedules, and you guys have seen those in my classroom. And then for children who can read, if you want to write a written schedule, you can do that as well. Modeling prompts, Modeling prompts, very important. You're showing the child how to do something. It might be, for example, when you're tracing, you say, oh, draw a big line down, and you're drawing a line down, and then point for the child to do it. So just making sure that we're just modeling it and we're not physically touching or prompting the kid at all. It's just showing them how to do it. You might say, first my turn, show the child how to do it, now your turn, and see if they do it. Modeling prompts are really great to show them, especially with like the tracing and stuff. Partial physical prompts are the step before full physical prompts. So partial physical prompts might be, if you want the child to go outside, you might cup your hand, put it behind their back, and kind of guide them to go outside rather than holding their hand and bringing them there. So it's just the step before. It's just giving the child a little extra bump if they need it to start the action. So it might be holding the elbow when tracing. So we actually learned in my master's program that when you're helping a child trace or do an activity, you should start at the shoulder and then work your way down the arm. So sometimes they just need that comfort that you're there to support them, because a lot of the kids get scared that they're going to mess up or something. So if you just hold their shoulder and trace, then sometimes they trace, or the elbow, you're still able to kind of guide their hand while holding their elbow, and then moving down to the wrist. And then the next one would be a full physical prompt. That would be hand over hand. So another example is if an adult nudges a child's hand when they're asked to clap, or an adult taps a child's foot when asked to stomp their feet. Full physical prompts would be hand over hand. So literally holding child's hand to trace, or lifting the child to go somewhere, holding a child's hand or holding child's wrist to walk somewhere. So those are the last ones that we want to do, because we want our student to learn how to follow the directions in other ways. Response time, that's what we went over earlier. It's just important to allow the child time to process the direction, especially if they have any type of delay. So just use slow and clear speech. Only give directions once. Avoid repeating words and names. Count to 10 in your head before speaking again. Avoid saying no. So instead of saying no running, you can say walking feet, and that goes back to them hearing only running or them hearing walking feet. Which one is better for them to hear walking feet? So framing it positively. And then when repeating a direction, phrase it in a different way. So one of my parents pointed out when I was doing this training with them, for example, when you give the direction the first time, it says it's time to play. And then you wait 10 seconds, time for play. So each time you're changing the direction, the last word is different. So the first time they hear playtime, the next time they hear play, and then we are going to the play area. The next time they hear play area. So rephrasing the direction in different ways allows the child to process it in a different way if that's what they need. Facilitating play with appropriate prompting. For when you're playing with a child, focus on the process of play rather than the end goal. So if you're playing in the kitchen or something, or if you're playing with Legos, instead of being like, oh, let's go give mommy soup, and then just, pretending to pour something in a bowl and handing it to someone, focus on the, oh, let's get a spoon. Where's the spoon? Okay, let's stir. Is it hot or cold? So focusing on the process rather than the end goal of just having them bring pretend soup over to the parent. Build upon the child's interest. It's really important right now. It's a very uncertain time. A lot of the children are probably confused on why they're not in school. So just kind of following them and what they want to do and not forcing them to do what we want them to do all the time. Reflect and talk about emotions during play. Really act it out. Don't just be like, oh, how would you feel? I feel sad. So when I'm playing with the kids, I might, if they like take something away from me, I might like pretend to start crying and be like, oh, that made me so sad. And then the kids will come up and they'll like pat my back or something. And so it's really getting them to recognize those actual emotions and not just make a happy face, make a sad face, make a mad face. Providing materials to encourage exploration and play. Ask questions related to play. Give the child time to answer. And if they don't answer, feel free to answer the question yourself. So if the child is nonverbal or does not know the answer, you might say, what is this? And it's a spoon or something. So you're waiting and be like, it's a spoon, touch the spoon, and then having them touch the spoon. So just because they're not talking to you doesn't mean that they don't understand. So use a lot of that, oh, look, it's a fork and a spoon. Where's the fork? And then giving them time to process and touch the fork. And that's all. If you have any questions, let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That was the presentation, so I'll upload it to YouTube and let me know if you guys need anything else. Thanks. And I don't know how to stop the recording, so that'll take me a minute. There we go. All right, bye.